But there are other countries that do not. Like they, what I would consider play dirty. Like they will kill your dog, you know, just to mess with you, just to just to let you know that they know who you are, right? You know, they'll do things to make you sick, to make you leave, to make it so uncomfortable for you to be there that you'll just go. Because, I mean, they just don't want you there, right? They'll do things to mess with you. They'll surveil you, like, obviously, so you know that you're constantly being watched, you know? Like,
intimidating you.
Right. So, I mean, there's lots of different tactics that intelligence agencies use. You know, the ones we think about are the ones where everything's a secret and nobody knows and everybody's doing things in the shadows. But then there's kind of the dirty side where they do things overtly just to harass you, intimidate you. There are intelligence agencies that use, you know, blackmail and manipulation, which in the CIA's view is not, like, that is not a functional way. Like, that is not sustainable, right? Like, if you're blackmailing somebody for intelligence, it's not really the best way to go. Like, that's not the best way to get intelligence. It's not sustainable. That something's going to happen. You can't keep that up. Maybe you could do it once, you know, but if you're trying to build a long-term intelligence relationship with an asset, that's not the way to go. But there are plenty of countries who do it, you know.
But doesn't the United States break sort of international laws too? I mean, don't they? Don't we break a lot of laws that we just say it's okay because we're the United States?
Well, so does everybody.
Yeah.
So all the countries do it. So gathering intelligence in, like, any country is illegal in every country. So to that extent, yes, you're definitely, you know, by recruiting somebody to spy on their country, like, you're breaking the law. But that's the game, right? So, like, that's like the gentleman's game, right? Like, everybody knows it's happening. Everybody knows they're doing it. Everybody knows that, you know, like, in any given country, like, the Brits have spies there, the Americans have spies there, the French have spies there, the Thais have spies there. Like, if there's an embassy or if there's a foreign presence or whatever, like, there's spies there. Everybody knows it. But that's the gentleman's game, right? Like, I see you, you know, you see us.
Okay.
You know,
Yeah.
like, if you're good, you know, be good enough to keep yourself secret, you know. And that's for me, like, that's the real game of, you know, that's the proper intelligence game, I think.
So what is, in your opinion, what is, like, the overarching view of the United States from these other countries that you visited?
So,
like, what is their perspective? I'm sure you spent a lot of time talking to a lot of different people.
Yeah. So I can speak mostly for Asia. And the perspective there is really interesting because the United States has a lot of influence throughout Asia. Just historically from World War II. But China is their actual neighbor. And China has a longer history with all of the Asian countries. So, like, East Asian, Southeast Asian. And it's really impressive to see the fine line that the, like, ASEAN basically countries walk, right? Like, China's aggressive, so they don't really want to be, like, under China's thumb. But the United States isn't going to step up in the way that they want them to step up all the time. I know Obama did, like, an Asia pivot, but that changes president to president, right? Like, whatever the focus is changes over time. Where China, like, that is their backyard. So China's interested in having control over those countries through trade, having control of the waters for their navy. So it's this really interesting dynamic of, you know, they like the United States. They see us as a power, like a power for good, an ally. But China's sitting right there, and they have to, like, they cannot ignore China. Like, if they had to choose, my bet would always be on China. Like, if they ever had to choose between who they were going to back, because America's far away. I think so. I mean, that's from my experience, because, you know, sometimes America goes through its moods, right? Sometimes America just doesn't want to be involved, and they're like, well, America's not going to back us up, this president. You know, like America's far away, so by the time it took us to do anything, like China's literally sitting right there. And then, you know, the culture's a little bit different, like everything I was saying about, you know, you need to be able to put yourself into the shoes of the Thais, of the Cambodians, of the Malaysians, right? Like, has America done a good enough job? Are diplomats doing a good enough job of doing that to be able to have those discussions, you know? So.
Yeah. No, it's so crazy how, you know, the different relationships between different countries that, you know, are having to deal with, you know, playing both sides or being a part of a tug of war between different countries just because they're stuck in the middle of these two superpowers, like you know, right now with Russia and the Ukraine.
Yeah,
it's so crazy.
And America doesn't have as much sway as it used to. We're a lot more globalized now. There are other countries that have come up. So like when we were in the Middle East, so I've never actually been to South Asia, but when we were in the Middle East, we were close enough to South Asia, so like India, Pakistan, that we met a lot of people from those areas there, and it was fascinating to watch the relationship there. Like, America's not even, like, barely a consideration, you know, in certain things, but I mean, really, like, they are dealing with their neighbors. Like, in the Middle East and South Asia, like, they are dealing with their immediate neighbors. Because that, like, they have nukes, right? Like, that's who's going to affect them, you know? And then there's always the question of, is America going to get involved or not, right? Like, if a country doesn't think that America is going to back them up, they have to start thinking about their other options. So the more, like, nationalists we become, the more everybody else, like, there's a power vacuum that happens, other people fill in. You know, there can't be a vacuum. Somebody's going to fill in that spot.
And the scariest part about it is, too, that those countries are so, like you said, so much more aggressive, and they'll take extreme measures, like way harsher than I feel like the United States would even take.
Well, because there's a history there. I mean, think about how old the country's, you know, I mean, we were talking earlier about how young America is. Like, there's this very long history in these regions, you know, so lots of baggage, lots of, you know, disputes that are still kind of festering, you know. You can see it when you read about the border disputes in the area, lots of cultural issues that I think Americans, like, we can't even relate to.
I was talking to Andy last time about how in some of the embassies in Cuba and Russia, the American embassies, there were a lot of people in different agencies like the CIA and the FBI that were experiencing, like, crazy headaches.
Yeah, I read about that.
And migraines and experiencing disorders. And because you know about this, maybe you can explain it better than I can. But basically, they were, like, targeting radiation towards these embassies that were giving people head injuries, basically.
Yeah, so there are certain countries that like to play dirty. So I mean, whatever you think about the CIA, like, America has standards, right? We have lawyers, we have laws, we have standards. You know, we have a democratic government. But there are other countries that